Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's really better for all of us if I have a little feedback, okay? Oh, I'm so excited to be here, and all month we've been talking about living the dream. And how many have a dream? How many would like to live it a little more often? That's right. And so this week I was contemplating this idea of living the dream, and I was quite aware that at any moment there were a couple of different dreams to choose from. Like when you listen to the news and you look out into the world, there's a bunch of stuff happening. There's all this kind of chaos, and there's this and that. And I had this, really strange, not strange, but this really awareness that this is why we're here. We are here to hold the light in a more powerful way. And the more polarity and the more conflict and the more that we see that's unsettled in our individual worlds and collective worlds, that can serve to be a motivator for us to stand even more firmly clear in our purpose and in our ability to choose a new dream. Now, in the shamanic traditions, they use this idea, they use the talking, living a dream. Like if you want to have a different life experience, you need to have a new dream. That we are living in the world of our effects and in our life. We are living the dream that we have had. Now, most of the dreams that are creating our reality are kind of unconscious dreams, unconscious belief systems that are operating, and we're living out of those. But we start to wake up, and as metaphysicians and people consciously on the spiritual path, as we start to wake up, we realize that what's already been created, what's already out there, is a result of the collective dream that somebody else has already had. And we're living in an experience of an effect and a collective dream. And at some point along the way, waking up souls have to wake up and say, I need to choose a new dream. Because if we don't start to choose a new dream, then we will live out of the effects of the dreams somebody else had for us. And maybe that was a generation ago or 2 generations ago or 5,000 years ago, but at some point, and I think we can all feel it, there is a collective urge and a collective call to dream a new dream and create a new world. And the challenge becomes our ability to raise our vibration, our ability to up-level, and our ability to choose something new out of a higher state of consciousness. It is said that we can only make a choice according to the visions that we hold. What visions are calling us? Because those visions and intentions that we hold, we see from that level. So we look at this whole collective place where we are in our planet now, and I say, let's wake up, let's look at it. We are here. It's interesting times, right? Very interesting times to be alive, and it evokes in us a time, I believe, for our own individual lives to make those choices. It starts at home, and every one of us, every day, have a choice to make as what dream am I buying into today, and what is it that I am believing? Now, before we go into that, as far as our individual path, would it be all right if I shared something from something else?
Yeah.
Yes. Let you breathe. I wrote about it in my article that went out in the newsletter this week, and it's from the Hopi tradition, the Hopi Indian, American Indian Hopi Indians. They have hope. They are people of peace, really. Very much people of peace. And they have this diagram that kind of is like their map. And in this diagram, there are 2 lines that are 2 parallel lines. And they kind of go along together. And then one of the lines begins to get very very jagged, and then it stops. And then another line continues in a solid way. And then the images that are with the upper line are showed with people with their heads cut off, and it was very chaotic, and it ends. And then the other line showed images that showed living long lives and full harvest. And the interesting thing is there is a line that connects these two parallel lines. And the prophecies and the tradition tell us that human beings have the ability and it's open to go back between the two lines to experience the two different realities. But then at some point, there's a choice point where people must choose which path they will follow. And they will know when that time comes, because on the earth at the time, there will be great chaos and wars and earthquakes and floods and earthly things. And then there's a prophecy at that time. It's like, quit going back and forth. You better freaking choose. Where are you going to dwell? And I like to look at these two choices. Ultimately, the two choices ultimately are the choice for love or the choice for fear, right? And in our daily life, we are having to make that choice. Which one's going to be real? What is going to be real for us, and what are we going to create out of it? Are we going to believe in the dream that keeps running in, reminding us that I can't be safe on this earth, I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough love, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, that voice of fear? Am I going to believe that dream, or can I start to embody and believe in a dream that says life is supportive and life is abundant and I have all that I need and I am safe because I am connected and one with this presence, which is the divine presence, which is in and through all creation? A higher reality. Can I start to live out of that? Now the thing is however that we're able to choose, practice, and raise our vibration and come back to that center over and over, where we vibrate is how we are going to perceive life. It's how we are going to perceive life. Now, for an example, David Hawkins talks about this in his book, Power versus Force. Have you seen that book? It's a wonderful book, but imagine the scale of human consciousness, and imagine a low scale might be, complete shame, and then, hopelessness, and fear and grief, and then anger, and then pretty soon more hopefulness, and then ultimately more love and more oneness, right? We kind of get this whole paradigm that we can kind of go back and forth between. We do go back and forth, but ultimately we want to be able to live on a higher level, because how we perceive life depends completely on the level that we're vibrating at most. So for example, if you were to see, say, a homeless person in a really nice neighborhood just kind of sitting out there, depending upon your level of consciousness, you would perceive that experience differently. Okay? So if you were living in your own place of shame, you would have no way to perceive him except for through the eyes of shame. And you would project it all over him, saying, that's shameful and disgusting. But if you were vibrating maybe at grief, maybe then you would perceive this person as, oh, that's so sad that he lives like that. And then if you were vibrating at anger, and your life was bent on anger, then you would be indignant about it and get angry about it, and something needs to be done about that. And if you were vibrating on fear, you would be afraid of him. But if you started to vibrate a little bit higher with some optimism, you might perceive that differently. Like, what can I be a little motivated? What can I do to help? Maybe you can help him find a place to go. And then if you vibrated a little bit higher, you would live more with an open heart of compassion and kindness. Now you perceive this as, wow, I bet he's got a wonderful story. I wonder what his story is, because you can see the humanity in him. And then if you vibrated at an even higher level, at a high vibration of ultimate peace and bliss, you might see him as no different than you and having a different experience of God. So we can begin to see how my whole world starts to come from where my consciousness is, what I've been putting my attention on, and where I'm dwelling. I can begin to choose now the dream what is the dream that I will live in? Because if I'm choosing, usually unconsciously, I'm not choosing at all to live in fear, but I'm having fear experiences all the time. It's not your fault. You're just experiencing life out of the eyes of fear. So, how can we start, to shift our practice and to shift our internal reality to raise our vibration? Because as our vibration raises, we're able to, everything around us we see differently, and we're actually creating a new dream. So, for example, how many would like to create in your own life? How many of you, let me ask you this, how many of you believe in the law of attraction? How many of you believe that, what you magnetize inside a year has something to do with what you're pulling in, right? And so when we start to realize that, we can no longer take the perspective as a guiding light in our life that we're victimized by life, can we? We can no longer make that choice. So then the next stage becomes, well, then if I'm not victimized by my surroundings, and I'm actually choosing, how then might I start to choose more consciously, right? That's kind of the next stage along this path of evolution, that I realize I want to start choosing my dream, my reality, more consciously. And so let's look at this. Imagine that you're going into the grand shopping mall of the universe. Okay? I kind of was hoping that when I said the shopping mall of the universe, I'd have a few of you perk up a little bit. And you two over there were thinking about shopping, right? I'm thinking of this shopping mall of the universe. I'm thinking it's got some good shopping going on in there, right? And so that's kind of what we're doing in our life. It's like there's this whole shopping mall. There's this whole infinite possibility. There's an infinite possibility in the universe, right? Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So there's this infinite possibility happening all the time. And, quantum physics talks about there's infinite possibilities, but what are we going to put our attention on to draw in, right? So we go into the shopping mall, and we get in, and we get in the elevator, and we go up to the 3rd floor. And the 3rd floor represents the 3rd dimension. That represents life on Earth. Let me get that? Life on Earth. So we get out of the 3rd floor, and we look around, and it's really messy. Nothing's on the right shelf. Nothing's where it's supposed to be. It's not categorized at all. People are mean and pushing. And it's really, really hard to get what you want, because it's just a mess of confusion on the 3rd floor, right? And so it's difficult to manifest a great dream when you live on this 3rd dimension only. In other words, living only from a reality of what you can see and hear with your ears and with your body, okay? Physical reality only. It's really difficult to be a conscious manifester when we live only at this 3rd dimensional level, okay? Because it's a mess. So guess what we got to do? We got to go upstairs, because this 3rd floor shopping's the pits. It's not effective. So we finally take a few classes and everything, we realize we go through some work, and finally we're able to wow, I can accept life a little bit easier. I feel a little bit lighter, and man, I've learned how to forgive. I'm no longer hanging on to my, old things with all my exes and all my parents and all this old stuff. I've really learned to forgive. And when I've learned to forgive, and when I learned to kind of let go and kind of come into a sense of acceptance in life, I realized that now I can find my way to the elevator, and I can push the button to the 4th floor. And I'm not so heavy and burdened by all that. And I walk in and I push the elevator, and now on the 4th floor it's different. On the 4th floor, I'm able to really find what it is that I want. I'm able to get answers, and I'm able to be inspired, and I'm able to get some of the things that I want. Now, everything's not exactly, where I wanted it to be, but I'm able to maneuver and I'm able to find my way on the 4th floor. And it's much better because now I've learned to access some of my spiritual insights. I've learned to access my heart of love. I've learned to choose differently from a higher vibration because I'm not so burdened with having to control the universe. And then ultimately, I'm able to release even more. I'm able to release even my old conditioning and old patterns, and I want more. I want to have a higher experience. So I go to that elevator and I push the number 5 and I move upstairs to the 5th dimension. And the 5th dimension kind of represents this quantum reality where, we put our attention upon it and there it is. And that we put our attention on whatever it is that we want, there it is. And it's not limited by all of the frustrations of the old life. It's the heaven on earth consciousness. It's the love, it's heaven on earth. It's like making the choice to live from here. And so from that 5th floor, we're able to gather all that we need, and we're able to get back in that elevator and come down into our life. We begin to realize what's really important. So as we begin to realize that I can only create from the level of consciousness that I live on. I can only be a manifester of the consciousness that I am on. That means that I can only contribute to the change in the world based upon my own level of vibration. And my own level of vibration begins to expand through some key ways. And one of those key ways are really our ability to allow and accept. Most of us are living in the 3rd dimensional reality. We are living on earth. We are witnessing chaos. We are having our own chaos. Right? We're processing. We're living through old belief systems. We're here to wake up. We're going through things. No one's alone in this. And we have the ability to begin to move through that and to shed that and to just accept what's happening instead of fighting against it, so that we can go upstairs and begin to choose a new dream. To begin to choose a new dream. And we each have our own individual dreams, and it's beautiful that we do. We each have our own individual dreams for greater expression in our work to make a contribution. We each have our individual dreams to be able to experience greater happiness and peace for no reason. We have our individual dreams to be able to be in deeper communion and intimacy with people. We have deeper dreams to be able to live in more vibrant health and aliveness. Something is calling us, and so our invitation is to first remember, I want to go upstairs, because upstairs is where the easy creation unfolds. We don't need to manipulate the universe or manipulate creativity. It unfolds at the level of consciousness that we're at. We can begin now to choose a new dream. At any moment today, you will have an opportunity to practice. This week, you will have an opportunity to practice. We will see a challenge, and we will have the opportunity to watch maybe fear arise, and then to ask the question, is this real? How many of you have been afraid? And how many took time to really question if that monster under the bed was real? Usually the things that make us afraid are illusions, are dreamt up nightmares, are things that we imagine in our mind could jump out and grab us, or ruin our business, or ruin our relationships, or do this, or not make the dreams unfold. And it's like this voice of fear that sneaks up behind us, and I invite us to say, is this real? And if we say yes, I invite us to ask it again. Are you sure? Without a shadow of a doubt. Are you positive that this is real? And when we question it like that, we can begin to answer honestly. And then we can take it even further and say, if I continue to believe this, who will I be? Because if we continue to let that fear drive us, we will continually be running from it. And then we can ask the question, if I were to choose something new, who would I be? If I were to choose something new, who would I be? So we take this, let's take a real life example to be able to put it to, you may have a situation that is fearful, like one of your dreams, one of your business things, or something isn't going to happen, and asking the question, is it true? Do I really know? No, you do not know that's true. Well, what's going to happen if you believe that that's true? Well, you're going to continue to make bad decisions. You're going to continue to try to protect yourself. You're going to be, this person that's in fear, and you're going to push your good away. That's what's going to happen. Or you can say, well, who would I be if I let this go and choose something different? And in that moment, you can say, well, I could choose to believe that things are going to work out. I could choose to believe that all the answers and all the people and resources that I need to know are coming to me. I could choose to believe that life is safe and I am supported. And then how does that feel? That choice feels way better. And if I were going to choose that choice, then how is it that I can begin to speak to myself in a way that reaffirms that choice? Because what we choose in the quiet moments is reinforced with how we think all day long, right? So our question and our path this week really becomes, what dream will I choose? What will I really choose to believe in? And if you're not sure, get into a meditation first. Go upstairs. Go upstairs and let everything else go and choose from that place. And know that only love is real. Only God is real. We are connected. There is life. As we look out into our world, as we look out into things that are going on, we can choose two perspectives. We can choose to believe that this world is hell and is going to hell in a handbasket fast. Or we can choose to believe that there's a massive transmutation taking place and a cleansing and a revealing of all that needs to be shed in order that new generations that operate in love can begin to lead, that new consciousness can begin to be born on this earth, that new changes can be made, that new care of our world and our environment can be taken. We can begin to believe in a world that works. We can believe in a world that works only when we can start to believe that our world works, that our lives work, that our part works, and that we can begin to embody that on a day-to-day basis. And as we embody it in our own life, we're choosing the little ways to operate in love and care and kindness and compassion. We begin to manifest out of that consciousness. We begin to live the dreams that we have only dreamed about before. And I want that for you, and I want that for me, and I want that for all of us. And so I say yes. Will you join me? Say yes. And say with me now, and so it is. Yes. Great. Oh, all right. Song.
No. You're good. You're good.
Oh, ushers. We should go.